Unfortunately, one of the problems of the South is that the South has a lot of trouble still to this day leaving behind the question of discrimination. Here in Leesburg, Virginia, we have been establishing a diversity commission in the town of Leesburg to deal with those who feel discriminated against and have complaints to resolve their problems. But there's at least one member of the town council, Mr. Tom Dunn, who just doesn't get it. And you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to what he has to say. Councilman Tom Dunn called into the chamber to give his opinions, and here it is.
And everyone could see me, but I really looked back and said, you know what? And I think Mr. Thompson said this earlier, and I'm going to say shame on you, Mr. Thompson, for throwing slavery into this discussion. There are people who feel that government, I guess, is supposed to be the answer to everything. And Mr. Thompson, I don't believe government freed our slaves that we had in this country. That was an evil that this country had. It was the hand of God touching the hearts of man that freed those slaves. And it's the same hand of God touching the hearts of man that will bring unity within diversity. It's not government. If you think the people in this room, where you all are sitting, obviously, are going to be able to make a change in any shortfalls that we have in how we handle different cultures and races, that's one, holding yourself up too high, because that has to come from God. That healing comes from God. Jesus said, I give you one commandment, and that is to love one another. He could have said, go out and create a diversity commission, but he didn't. He said, you go out and love one another. Not rely on government to do that. If government was the best answer, he could have said that. So I don't know why folks feel that race or multiculturalism is something causing them to stumble in their ability to access the services that government is already providing. I don't know why folks feel that the government has to give their race legitimacy. I don't believe that.
It's hard to ignore that we were auctioning off slaves so they could work in our fields, pick our cotton, that their families were constrained in every way possible, that we had to have a war in order to address the fact of slavery from the writing of the Constitution through the Civil War, and the result was the 13th Amendment that recognized in courts across the country that you couldn't have badges of slavery. And so yes, it was the government that did it, and that law is recognized in our courts and on the streets of Leesburg and all across the nation, no matter what Tom Dunn says.